Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Movie Bros podcast. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. We are your hosts with the most. We are Duncan and Hayden. Hayden, say
Hello. I'm good. We do this every time. I'm here. I'm good.
So just as a quick summary, folks, per usual, this is where we pick a movie, we watch a movie, we discuss, ramble, banter, argue, agree, all the things about that movie, and then we share it with you fine folk. And obviously these are our own opinions, so if you'd like to watch the movies we're watching, usually we let you know how we watched it on whatever either streaming service or a Blu-ray or whatever. So you can follow along. If you share our opinions or don't, let us know in the comments. We are on Spotify. This is probably where you're listening to it, or we are also now on Amazon Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts. And we also share this information on our Instagram page, which is at the movie underscore bros, I believe, or at the movie at the underscore movie bros. It's one of that iteration. If you look for it, you'll most likely find us. And we review all kinds of stuff, anything from a comedy to a horror to a thriller to a western. So if you are interested in movies, this might be the podcast for you.
That's very true. And speaking of westerns, what are we talking about today, Duncan?
Well, our randomizer wheel that chooses movies based off a growing list that we just keep adding to has chosen Bone Tomahawk, which is indeed a western.
Yes. And if you have never heard of this, that's not your fault. This movie is small in budget and was probably not wide released.
I wonder, did this even, do you think, go to theaters? I wonder if it was
I
straight.
I would be extremely shocked. So why don't we just lead into that? So I'm going to go through our fast film facts, give you a rundown of its IMDb page for all intents and purposes. So I don't believe this was released at theaters. This came out in 2015. I think this was probably straight to Redbox.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a red box movie.
Yeah, I mean, which is ironic considering that service has now been discontinued. Redboxes no longer exist as like a
Mm-hmm.
functioning company, although
Yep.
you can still find operating kiosks all over the
Kiosks.
place.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can just swipe a card that doesn't have any money on it, and they will give you movies out of it.
Well, I've also seen people who literally are just like backing their trucks up and like taking the
I
kiosks.
mean, it's technically not theft because of the way that those are licensed out, those specific discs. If that company is no longer in
Sure.
existence, who are you stealing from? I would
Either
also
way,
say, just as a legal disclaimer, we don't endorse crime, and anything we say is inherently a joke.
sure. Let's go with that.
Either way, so this is directed, written, scored, and produced by S. Craig Zoller. Cinematography here is by Benji Bakshi.
Oh, Benji Bakshi, dude.
So I actually recognize his last name. There's a semi-famous cartoonist called Ralph Bakshi that I thought he might have been like tangentially related to, and unfortunately it's not. But I don't know. I mean, Benji Bakshi almost sounds like a comic character. That sounds like a fake name. But as I say,
Fair.
this stars Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, Richard Jenkins, Lily Simmons, David Arquette, and Sid Haig. And that's kind of all I got for this.
Kind of an odd cast.
I don't mind the casting of pretty much
No,
anyone.
I
I
don't.
just
I don't mind it
yeah.
either. It's just like it's such a weird grouping of people. Is all. Like at one
Yeah, I
point
mean,
towards the
I,
beginning,
I would 1,000% believe that the majority of the cast signed on once they knew Kurt Russell was attached.
I mean, I would sign on if Kurt Russell was doing something. Sure, why not? Oh yes, you
Well,
want
I
me to be
mean,
in a
yeah.
western with Kurt Russell? Sure, hell yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of this movie was sold. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, perhaps. Um, Duncan, what's your overall rating of this?
I would give this a solid, like 3 point, like let's call it a 3, maybe a 3.5.
Really? You went more than me. I'm giving this a solid 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I think yes, I agree there are parts that work decent, and then 90% of this movie is just a kind of a slog.
It is kind of a slog, yes.
So let's get the elephant out of the room. This movie has no music, none whatsoever.
Well, technically, okay, if you're on Instagram and you like search Bone Tomahawk under music, if you're making a reel, just as this is topical since I make this stuff for our account, there is technically music that was made for this.
So yes, there's
But
like one song, and there's like an ending
mm-hmm.
weird operatic thing that I completely just muted by the time I got to the credits because it was so
Yep.
strange.
Yep.
So yes, there is
Technically
technically
music,
music in
but
this,
there really isn't.
but for the 2 hours of its runtime, I think there's maybe 5 minutes of music,
Oh,
maybe.
if that. If that.
And I'll be honest, that's why I rated it so low because without the music to, I don't want to say like distract you, you are so much more aware of all of the dead air, all of the weird timing, all of the just sound effects that are sometimes way too loud. I just, there are so much more I'm aware of that is bad in this because there isn't a score to, patch up kind of some of the rough edges.
I get that. I mean, there's a point where I said, 28 minutes in, and this is now like, oh, things are actually happening. Let's go,
Oh my
baby.
God, right?
However, I realize I think maybe even not just the marketing for this was wrong, but the actual how they presented the story was wrong. Like it's so much less about them actually like rescue. It's like it's more about the actual journey to get to like
Correct.
rescue. It's
Because so again, breaking this down into like minutes watched, this is a 2 hour movie. The actual like Kurt Russell fights cannibals, because that's what you want to watch,
mm-hmm,
is maybe 10 minutes
maybe
of the
10 minutes.
actual runtime. Like I like parts of the dialogue and the character dynamics that we get on the journey there,
Mm-hmm.
but
Oh, I
the
agree.
fact that it is 85% just journey, I kind of got tired of. I'm like, okay, let's pick this up. It's a little slow.
Yeah, yeah. There's some fluff to edit out. I had written that at some point. I do like that. I'm sure this was probably rated R, but like the opening shot is just immediate. Like, oh, this guy is like cutting this guy's neck open.
That's the first thing I have written down. I have written down what an image to open the movie, dude getting his throat cut.
Yeah, I said just immediate carnage. But then it's weird. Like it's such a heavy thing like that, and then when the two thieves, which is David Arquette and some other dude, like I didn't know who he was.
Sid
Um,
Haig, who I recognize from a couple other horror movies. He's a
a
long-standing like
character
genre
actor.
actor. Yeah.
Gotcha. But then like when they're walking through the burial part, it was like almost comedy where they're like talking about how it was being ominous and like they're kind of like self-aware. It was like a weird.
Yes. The tone is so weird in this because like you go in expecting it's going to be maybe not action packed, but you expect things to actually be happening, and
Hmm.
then it wants to play itself as a character drama, but there's not enough of that really going on.
Yeah, I mean there was some of that with Jack from Lost.
Which I wish he did more stuff. I think he's a very good actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like him. Like
Like I think some of the more like emotionally affecting parts in this are,
are him. Yes.
are the moment where, spoilers or whatever. I don't think I'm going to suggest people go out and watch
No,
this,
it's
but
fine.
like
And if even if they
um
do, come on.
he gets like gravely injured towards the end, and he does the whole, oh, I'm gonna be the last man standing and I'm gonna blow them up with dynamite, and like the rest of them leave that shot, and then he has a really like, he kind of like breaks down for a little bit and he has to like muscle himself out to try not and cry and face death with
Hmm.
dignity,
Oh
and
yeah.
that takes place over like 5 seconds, and it looks really good. Like he can clearly act. I wish he did more stuff.
On the flip side, I did not like Patrick Wilson in this.
I like Patrick Wilson as an actor. I think he's a good everyman. I agree he is weird in this. Like he everyone else, I don't know how else to describe it, but he doesn't have a face for a western. He's
No,
almost too
and
clean.
well, A, he doesn't have the face for Western, but I didn't. It didn't sound like him at all. but it didn't sound like his voice. I don't know if he was trying to do an
Oh, something
accent or
I've written
something.
down here is, oh yeah, the accents are all over the place. Like,
Yeah, did not like it.
well, Kurt Russell kind of already consistently sounds like he's in a Western, so he doesn't really have to change, but like Patrick Wilson is all over the place.
Hmm.
Matthew Fox is all over the place. Richard Jenkins, the older guy, is sort of grounded, but like
Oh, you
that's not a
mean the
character.
dad from Step Brothers?
Yeah, well, yes, he's the dad from Step Brothers, among many other things. But like,
I could like, well, I was watching it, I couldn't place it, and then I was like, wait a minute, is
well,
that the
again,
dad of Brennan and Dale? What the fuck?
you got to remove that shitty beard they have him wearing. We've shit talked this for a good 15 minutes now. Let's say something nice about it.
I actually really liked the lighting for this. There's a lot of parts that, yes, the colors were really washed out, but there were so many spots where I was like, oh, if you took a picture of this shot, it would look almost like a black and white photograph from the time. Like
Absolutely.
the blacks were so black. Like some of the night shots were gorgeous, like really really good.
I mean, I think that Western color grading is a difficult thing to do, and I don't think it's done very well at all unless you're the Coen brothers. But it's actually done pretty well here. They've pumped up the grays, blacks, and tans. It gives
Hmm.
everything like a dry, hot desert feel. And I love that they shot in dusk and not day for nights like they'll
Yes.
sometimes do, and then just
Oh,
wash everything to in blue and say, oh look, it's actually at night. Like I like that they were clearly out in the California desert somewhere. They were clearly actually camping. I enjoyed that. I mean, especially the like the campfire shot where they shoot the two Mexican guys.
I was literally just about to
That
say
was
that.
great.
Like they are standing in, I mean it's technically twilight, but it's like there's so much smoky, like the oh yes, 100% was exactly going to say the exact same thing. What I also like is they almost treat the Indians like the predator. Does that make any sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that I have written
I
down here is
like
that
it.
I like that they skirted the oh you're being racist like accusations that even back in 2015 probably would have come up when they actually had an actual Native American actor come out and say, oh, these aren't real Native Americans, these are more animalistic people who live in caves and like
Sure, they're
they're
troglodytes, yeah.
monsters. I like that they made that distinction, and then they went even further with the whole thing where they have like wind whistles implanted in their necks.
Which was
I
cool.
I which was cool. Like I like that. That's a nice bit of design, and I think
Oh,
it
like
helps it.
the like screechy like yell that they did with the bone flute, super cool.
Yeah,
Like
super cool.
just the sound design was really cool in that. Um,
Another thing that's nice on the sound design, well, obviously we are deriding the fact that there is no music. I like the fact that you can hear all the little things happening, like
mhm.
when Patrick Wilson is trying to like hastily load up his revolver after he's being like stalked by one of the troglodytes. You can hear all the little bullet metal scraping against the chambers, and you can the twigs cracking. Like it makes the moment feel super in your face and really real. But double-edged sword. I need the music, man.
Speaking of him confronting one of the troglodytes, like he did pretty well in the end. However, like the sheriff, like that's his whole job is to be like good with a gun. Like we'll keep it. This is what I wrote. Took the entire movie to find them and about 30 seconds to get absolutely fucked by those troglodytes.
Yeah,
Like they
yeah.
walked into a literally a kill box of a canyon and then immediately got fucked up.
Well, that's kind of my whole issue with freaking Matthew Fox's character. Be like, oh, I'm the smartest guy here. I'm the fastest gun in the West. Dude gets killed immediately. Like, well, again, I like that there were actually things happening at that point. That was so dumb. That's such a terrible payoff for that
Yes.
character.
I do like the chick who they're going to rescue. She's like, "Oh, all of you guys are fucking idiots." Like this.
I did
Just
like the moment, like, wait, so the person who's coming to rescue us is my husband, who is a cripple, and we're up a mountain in a cave. And they're like, oh yeah, no, that's what's gonna happen. And she's like, are you guys morons?
and there's no cavalry. Yeah, yeah. The bad guys did kind of, because they didn't show them so much, for like they were kind of like these just dark shapes in the background, like snatching people. Yes, made me think of Predator, but it also kind of made me think of 13th Warrior a little bit.
There's actually a lot here that I think is similar to 13th Warrior. You know, it's the fish out of water for Patrick Wilson's character. It's the long trek.
Sort of, yeah. I do
Um,
like the forming the posse of like kind of a hodgepodge group. I do think they do it better than in 13th Warrior, but
oh, I mean, absolutely, yes. Um, so just a couple things that I'd written down that I noticed.
mhm.
David Arquette's teeth visibly change dirtiness levels depending on the scene that he's in. Like
Well,
when it first starts, he has like gross brown crap all over his teeth. And then in the exact same scene, they go to a different camera shot and they're like perfectly fine and like it looks like he's just left the dentist. And then they go back to the other camera shot and they're all dirty brown again. Like clearly these were filmed on different takes, maybe different days, but like if it was super obvious to me just as like a normal casual viewer of this who wasn't actually looking for that, that's got to be obvious in the edit.
yeah, potentially, potentially.
So when I had first started watching this, I wrote down that I thought all the costumes were too clean. I like the fact that they visibly got dirtier and more worn
Mm-hmm.
as they went on their trek. Like I was about to be like, oh, you know, this doesn't look realistic. They're not dirty. They live in the West. They should be dusty. Like, and then as they got further into the trek towards the cave, they became more dusty. They became, you know, more dirty. I would 100% believe if they just had the actors, you know, camp on the way there.
Do you want to know the part that I was scratching? Like, I didn't really understand what like why they put this in. Like, it was fun of a weird, again, maybe a comedy moment, but like, the dad from Step Brothers, I can never remember his name. Uh,
Oh, I see. I was
was
gonna go with the completely needless sex scene.
oh yeah, also not needed.
Does nothing for the plot. Like,
Well,
don't get me wrong.
she's also such a flat character.
Ugh.
Like,
Well, we know by that scene she's not a flat character,
okay, all right.
but okay. Sorry, I couldn't.
What I was
It was
talking
too
about is
easy.
when whatever his name is, the dad from Step Brothers, is
Yes.
laying on his back at the fire with Kurt Russell, and he's like, "Have you ever read a book in the bath?" I'm like, dude, why is this? Why is this
There are.
taking up so much time in this? Like, it was kind of funny, but I'm like, all right, dude.
Well, those because again, I also had that written down. It's just like, oh, the bath conversation. This goes on for like 6 minutes. Why is it here? There are. It feels like lots of attempts to try and humanize and more like add dimensions to characters that weren't there originally. Because
Hmm.
like I think if you took those out, they do seem even more flat. But I don't know that that actually helps as much as the writing team probably thought that it did. Like, it doesn't make me feel like I'm getting to know these characters. It just feels like they're rambling for the sake of weirdness.
Yeah, the only person that I felt like you kind of at least get to know some backstory on is Matthew Fox.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, I don't know. Kurt Russell's just like the generic sheriff doing the right thing.
I
Patrick
mean,
Wilson.
I don't mind that though. I
Oh no,
mean,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind that, but like Patrick Wilson, there's a I can't remember which part around the fire. I don't remember. It may be the one of the first nights. Maybe it wasn't, but or he like tries to get all choked up about his wife is in with the cannibals, and it's like him trying to be emotional, and I don't know why it
yeah.
just I really did not believe it at all.
I do think he's miscast in this. I don't think he has the face for a western. I don't know how to describe it. He looks
No, no, I do get
like
it.
a modern guy.
I don't think he's the right person for this.
And while I think he's a good actor, I don't think this role fits him at all.
No, I don't think it. Again, yeah, I don't think it's him, but I don't think yeah, I don't think the role is suited for him.
No. I was just gonna say that I don't think he ever comes across as very sympathetic, which
No,
is
not
weird
really.
because he's like, you know, he's the tortured cripple who's trying to save his captured wife from certain death, and I didn't ever feel like I was worried that he wouldn't get there.
A didn't really worry that he wouldn't get there, but also like I don't know. He didn't. He was not that likable, and I feel like if you
Not
want to
really.
be, if you want to root for someone, you also has to. It has to be someone that is semi at least likable, and he was kind
I
of
did like that they did a little bit of a reversal on you on the audience when they first introduce both him and his wife because they say, "Oh, go get the doctor," and then they show him, and you assume, "Oh, he's the doctor," and then find out that
sure,
it's his wife instead. Which it's not that big of a twist, but I like that they subverted that expectation a little bit because so often, the town doctor is the dashing underdog character, and I like that.
sure.
No, he's just kind of the house husband.
Speaking about the immediate opening shot of just aggressive throat cutting, this definitely did not shy away from when things did happen. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna fuck some people up. Like all the cannibal stuff, obviously in the last like 20 minutes,
Oh
mostly
my
20
god,
minutes.
right?
Oh, dude, when they're like, oh, we're gonna just cut right to
Like
scalping Nick, the
like
deputy
I
sheriff.
like
Jesus,
I watch a lot of horror movies. I have seen some gore. I literally love the Saw franchise.
it
That
was
was
pretty
so out
aggressive,
of
dude.
nowhere
It
and
was pretty
like
aggressive.
just so crazy. I had to like pause it. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like they
Or like,
pull
oh, I
him
guess,
up,
or
they
like,
scalp him, they turn him on his back, and then they split him in half.
yes, or
What
like
the
all the stuff where
fuck
they're
was
just
that?
slice open Kurt Russell and then stick his like burning hot flask in his
Right?
stomach.
Just so out of nowhere.
Yeah, I did think I don't know how realistic or not realistic, but like besides it just looking kind of cool, the almost again like predator tusks that the main cannibal had in his face,
It's cool
pretty
looking.
dope. Was cool looking.
I wish we had more of them.
Yes. Yeah, they were once they were actually on screen, they were such non-characters. Like I liked them
What?
so much. I liked them more as like this like almost otherworldly outside of
I don't know if I agree with that.
how
I
so.
think I mean I get what you're saying that they work better as like some unknowable threat,
Mhm.
but I think for a movie as lacking in like excitement of any kind,
Sure.
I think you could have had like, find scouts of them in the night or something like that. Like
Oh yes.
you
No,
could
no,
have done
that's
so much
yes.
more with that
Yes.
really nice campfire cinematography
Mhm.
that they had. Like, I
100%.
don't know, have like two or three of them rush them at their camp. So, as you're getting closer, the threat builds and builds.
Yes.
I'm glad we treated them as like, kind of like the alien in the original Alien. You don't see him until the very final scene. I like that in some ways this does that in a similar fashion. I just, kind of like in that movie, you still get kills up until the end of the movie.
Yeah, where this you could literally start at like oh, I don't know, like an hour in, more or less, and you'd probably be fine.
Well, it's just like that whole weird monologue about the flea circus. The hell was that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sorry, I was walking around my room and blowing out candles. Um,
Why do you have
yes.
candles?
Well, sometimes I like to light a candle or two. Fuck off.
Did you pour yourself a bubble bath and a nice glass of wine with some Celine Dion playing?
Maybe not Celine Dion, but I'd probably listen to something else. Fuck off, dude.
Hey, sounds
Uh,
relaxing. I'm not gonna judge you.
that's what I'm
I
saying. I
don't
was
even
like,
have
dude,
a
I have a nice big bathtub, and I put a little lavender bubble soap in there, dude. Little candlelight,
genuinely.
dude.
If slash when I ever have my own like actual like house, I cannot wait to get an actual bath. The freaking shower bottom that I have
Oh no, dude, fuck that.
fits nobody.
Well, like
I I,
this
I mean I am
this
kind of poking
aside,
fun at you, but like I would like to have
well,
a bath.
a side ramble. Yes, like 2 3 years ago, my partner at the time had like this big clawfoot tub that, and we would literally order Pagliacci's pizza and split a pizza in the tub. Fucking amazing, like literally game changing, dude. Ever
That's
since then,
so aggressively millennial. Holy shit.
it was fucking all. It's like I've. That's one of the reasons why I wanted the master bedroom in this house because of the tub. Either way, yes, I was blowing out candles. And yes, I know what you're talking about with the flea circus. What the fuck was that?
Well,
Why?
right, like we're finally building some pace. Patrick Wilson is like crawling around and killing cannibals, and he's getting up towards the cave. And
Yes.
then we grind to a halt to talk about, oh, do you think flea circuses are real? For like another 10 minutes.
Yeah, there was definitely some pacing issues. I think that is so. I think the main issues with this movie are pacing and music. I think those are the
Yeah,
main things.
I mean, I would say even if you just put music in, I
I'm
think it
sure
would elevate this
it
another
would
two
definitely
stars
help.
for me, because again, I like you know the crew of characters we have. I think they have an interesting dialogue
Yeah,
sometimes.
I
I don't
agree.
mind the whole journey bit. I think there's some interesting moments there, especially between Patrick Wilson and Matt's character. It just felt empty, and I
Hmm.
guess that's my whole takeaway from this movie. So it's like, yeah, there's like two or three good instances of things happening. I just came away feeling like I just watched something that was unfinished.
I did really like because it made me feel like it was like a throwback to old Western vibes. But I don't know if you've seen. Granted, I think there's more than one poster for this, but there's one poster which is like uh, Kurt Russell black and white superimposed.
Yes, I have seen
That's one of
that.
them. But there's a different one. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like all the characters kind of like painted with a like setting sun back. It's really cool. It definitely made me think of like old timey western. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking dope. And then it was really subpar. Not like a. I would not call this a bad movie, but I would not call it a good movie. I guess that's more where my rating is.
I don't know how I feel about whether or not I would say this is a bad movie. On some level, I think there's a good movie potential in this. Like, I think if you fix things, it would become good. But I guess I gotta judge this on like what I'm actually watching. I don't know. I think I might actually say this was bad completely. Like, yeah, the 10 minutes of things that are good and actually interesting. I don't know if that saves a 2 hour slog.
Well, again, it's not just the 10 minutes of things happening. It's the lighting and the
I guess so. Yeah, I know you're right.
so things like that. I'm like, again, it's I would put it really right in the middle. Where again, it's not horrendous, but it's definitely not amazing. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it, but I also wouldn't go out of my
No.
way to be like, oh, this is a shit movie.
I think I'd say that it is disappointing
It
and
is.
boring. So I think that's what I would say.
Well, is there anything else you want to say,
I am
both positive or negative?
I am quickly looking through. Um,
Oh, the ending where it's just like, what the fuck was that ending? What was
I was literally about to say that.
so
That was
lackluster?
that's what I was gonna bring up.
So fucking lackluster, dude. Holy shit. That was
I
such a like a
like the ending of you
non-ending.
like the ending where you kill Kurt Russell off screen, and then you
Hmm.
just walk off into the proverbial sunset and have no like emotional remorse about that whatsoever, killing essentially the main character. Like, why do this?
Yeah, it felt. I mean, more just beating a dead. Either just it's more the same, but just it felt really underwhelming compared like just like everything else. But
So
yes,
again,
I definitely wrote that down.
did we already cover how we would fix this other than
I
the
think
obvious?
I think we did. I think we've said
I
enough
think
there.
yeah.
Do you know where this was? Was this California? Because a lot of the shots, like it did look really pretty.
I didn't look. You know what? Let me quickly Google eyes.
That's I would assume somewhere in California or like Nevada or something like that. But
Okay, this is blowing my mind. This has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
wow.
How?
Well,
Did they
hey,
watch a different movie?
everyone's got their own preference.
Well, people can be wrong.
Also true.
That's that's nuts. Filming locations. This is filmed on location in Paramount Ranch in California.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because yeah, a lot of the like the scenery, I was like, oh, this is really like. Again, I would not want to live there, but it's really pretty.
Says they also scouted locations in Utah and Romania.
Utah makes sense. I don't know. I mean, granted, I don't know anything about Romania.
Um, it's kind of the whole spaghetti western idea where as long as you claim the mountainous region you're in is actually in US and it looks hot, people won't
Sure, of
question it.
course.
91%. That's still blowing my mind.
Yeah, that is actually now that you said that, let me quickly look it up
That's
on
insane.
Letterboxd and see if it's any different. It's got a
Because
it's got a
IMBD,
3.7 out of 5, which it is
yeah,
higher
that
than
makes
mine,
sense.
but that's not that much higher. That does make more
Like
sense.
IMBD has this down as 7 out of 10, which is extremely generous.
But even still, that's like, okay, I mean, it's definitely generous, but it's
But 91, that's
90 is pretty wild.
that is nuts.
Looking at this, I didn't realize that Matthew Fox has only done 14 movies ever, and that includes
Well, I mean,
Lost.
I gotta assume the lost residuals because I think
Oh,
it's
yeah,
easy to
for sure.
forget just how huge of a show that was.
Oh,
Like
it was the
I'm
show.
sure he is still making bank from that.
Oh, of course. Do you ever see Vantage Point? Do you know what this is?
Um, I have seen Vantage Point. It has been several years though.
Him and Dennis Quaid, where Dennis Quaid is like the president. And
I
but
liked it in concept. I
the
didn't know
concept
if
was
I
cool. I
enjoyed
liked it.
it in execution. Like on some level, after another 2 hours of watching the same scene over and over again from a slightly different camera angle, I don't know if I really loved that.
Again, I think the idea, yeah, is cool. Just that was one of the only other Matthew Fox things that I've seen,
That's well, I mean, he also shows up in the unironic, excellent movie Speed Racer.
which is I was thinking about the other day, like that's a fucking
Like,
great like it's that's gonna be up there on some sort of list for me because no, it's maybe not a perfect movie or even my top
see,
three or
I
four.
don't
Like
know.
I love it, dude. That's a great movie.
Like this is a movie I own. I genuinely love it, but I for what it's trying to deliver, I might actually call that a perfect movie. It's trying to be a live action cartoon and be super colorful and zany. I I don't know if I can actually find a fault in it if I'm saying, is it delivering on that premise? I think it's excellent.
Sure, and maybe I don't. I mean, this episode is Bone Tomahawk, not Speed Racer, but yes, there are
That's very
lots.
true.
Uh, boy, are they the almost the exact opposite kind of movie because like one is
Oh my god, right?
so much color, so much music, so much like in your face all the time. Let's go compared to
And
the
this
other.
is
Not that.
not.
Is there anything that you've watched or going to watch or anything like that? I guess.
Well, as of recording this, I'm watching my Hundreds of Beaver movie tomorrow,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and
I forgot that's tomorrow.
other than that, I've had some holiday stuff going on, and so I've been busy, so I haven't had the time.
Is I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm either looking forward to see or have seen recently.
I mean, just blanket statement. I'm also looking forward to Paddington and Sonic 3 and the new Wallace and Gromit movie, but obviously those are not out yet.
I keep forgetting that's coming out soon. Yes, where
Well, it's
they've
coming
used
out
like
soon for the
the
UK.
well,
Unfortunately, it's
yeah. I
not coming
think
out
ours
soon
is
for
probably
us.
sometime January.
Yes.
I rewatched The Batman for like the sixth time, and boy, is that such a pretty movie! Holy
I
shit!
mean, it's still so good.
Yeah, and I rambled a little bit about this on my other podcast, but like I don't know what they're gonna do with the second one, but it's gonna be hard to
It is a hard act to follow.
even not even it doesn't even I'm not even looking for it to like exceed that one, even if it just keeps pace with what they did there. But part of that is because of the villain, and I don't think they're gonna do the exact same villain for the second movie, so I don't know how they're gonna
That
keep the
is
same like grounded detective
true.
story. I don't know.
Yeah, and not again, I don't want this because I think we've mentioned this before. I am extremely wary of the James Gunnification of DC,
Oh, agreed.
and the Batman was made before he became creative head, and I'm extremely worried that the sequel to the Batman will be James Gunnified.
Well, I mean, I think they've said before where it's like, oh, that's his separate own thing. That Matt Reeves is like, that's his thing that he's taking care of, and he is
Oh,
control.
I don't mean that it's going to turn into Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, like, is James Gunn going to try and like exert more creative control over it? You know?
I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see, but I don't think so, but because I think they actually realized just how popular and well received and everything that the first one did. That's why they made the Penguin,
Sure.
which also did very well and was I
Also,
definitely feel like did
that's
not have a lot
so
of hands
good.
in.
It's
You
so
actually
good.
you oh
Yes.
you actually watched it? Okay,
Yes. I sat down and like binged it over 2 days. It's
yes,
so good.
it's very good. Uh,
I
Christina, whatever, she's fantastic.
Miloni.
A,
Yes.
like, acting fantastic. B, marry me today. Oh my god.
Well, no, I want to live. I don't know if I want to do that. Dude, you like you do one wrong thing to her as that character and you're going to wake up with a knife in your face. Like no.
Either way, that's what I recently watched, and then there's nothing, like, super jumping out for me to watch currently. Let's get back to that icebreaker audio.
Oh, this is topical. What could movie theaters do to improve the experience of going?
Well, actually, that's a good question, because speaking as someone who works at to a certain degree, a movie theater,
Very well, what do you mean to a
um,
certain degree? It's a movie theater.
well, it's also like a lounge and a bar slash restaurant. It's not
Well,
like a like traditional movie theater.
true.
I think the separation of like we are a 21 and up, and it is really nice to not have like babies or little kids or like shit like that to deal with, both as an employee but also as a customer, and you go in and you don't have to worry about someone bringing like a 9-month-old baby into a movie. I think that makes a big difference. I wouldn't obviously don't make every single movie theater 21 and up because what the fuck, but like I think it definitely has its advantages. What's fun for you?
I this might seem like a crazy take to begin with, but I'll explain it.
Oh boy. Okay.
Uh, uh, hey. I think you need to stop showing previews wholesale.
I don't
And
I
okay,
get why you say that.
so let me explain both sides of this. So there's the obvious thing of there are too many of them. Like
Fair.
the last time I went to a theater, there was genuinely like a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes of commercials.
Well, that's why like my work we do not show more than like 6 minutes of trailers, and that's usually two
Yeah.
movies. That
And
is
and and
acceptable.
and that's okay. That's fine. And then my other reasoning for this is that there is no trailer that I've seen at a theater in like the past maybe decade that I haven't seen first online.
Fair.
Whether whether it is through like algorithmically I find the trailer or I hear about it through someone else and I just search it up myself. I think having trailers play before movies is a relic of an era where we didn't have social media and YouTube,
Well, I don't know,
and
but also
I don't think it
ex-
helps the experience.
I think experiencing it in a theater will make you want to see. I mean, I think maybe a counter offer because I do agree with there are way too many of them, and every movie will pump out like 3 or 4 trailers, so that by the time you actually see the movie, you've seen like half the movie already.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Well,
I
hold
hate
on.
that.
My counter offer is every movie gets one trailer. That's it. One 3-minute trailer. That's your pitch. And, if you see it in the theater, great. If not, well, you'll find it online. But like that way, and every movie that you show in a theater should have like an allocated, oh, there can be no more than, let's say, 9 minutes of trailers. So that's 3 trailers. Three is still plenty. I think you need some because I think that it's part of the like ingrained movie theater experience.
See,
However,
I don't know.
No, see, a lot of people, myself included, look forward to seeing the trailers in the theater. Like,
I'm
again, I
gonna say,
feel like
okay,
it is part of the experience.
I'm a huge go out to the movies and experience the community aspect of watching movies in a theater. I am 100% that way. So I agree with you that those trailers themselves might look and sound better in a theater, but they are never new to me. So whether trailers need to be released to a theater first before they ever show up online, so there's a point to getting there at this point, quote unquote, early to a movie to watch trailers or something like that. But I've never, or at the very least in recent memory, I can't remember being excited to watch trailers anymore. And that very much used to be the way I would look at it.
Well, I guess maybe just don't put trailers online. Like,
Well,
oh,
I
like
mean, I don't know if that's feasible either.
I don't know. I mean, because yeah, there is something to be said. Like, oh, you never saw this before on the internet. You just happen to be watching a movie at the theater, and something comes on for a movie you know nothing about. Because every once
Yeah.
in a while, like when we go to see a movie, for whatever reason, I just didn't happen to see the trailer at home or anything, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Like, it's something new that I didn't know about. Yes, a lot of the times it's a movie that I wouldn't want to go see, but every once in a while there's something that I'm like, oh, what the fuck was that? Okay, maybe I'll check that out.
So I mean, I guess if I have to acquiesce to perhaps your version of that, yes, I think that at the very least there should be a number of trailer and a time like
Yes.
hard deadline. But
Yeah.
I just as it is now, I
It's
can't.
horrendous. Yes.
It's awful. Like I don't know if there's anything that could truly keep me from ever going back to a movie theater, but like that's up there.
Well, again, that's why, like, no, I don't want to be like, this is not just a, like, sales pitch for my job, but, like, yes, we only show, around, like, 6 minutes, and, oh, there's no
Sure,
kids. Oh, you want to
sure.
have a cocktail? You want to have a beer? Fucking let's go, dude.
I do think that there should be I do think there should be 21-year-old and up showings just in like general theater. Like I should be able to walk into an AMC and purchase a tall boy if I want.
And some of the Regal and AMC's do that. Some of them.
I also know that that's a lot more common in like Europe that is a
Mm-hmm.
very common thing that people actually do,
Yes.
but they have different public drinking laws, so
One thing I would also change is I know the whole purpose of like an AMC or a Regal is to make them a little more uniform. There's a little more regulation to make them all sort of look the same because they are one company.
yeah,
But
it's a
like,
chain.
yes, exactly, it's chain. But part of I don't again part of the experience is the actual theater itself. Like, make theaters cool looking again. Like, make them like
Oh,
well,
I 100% agree.
we're gonna talk about this next week, but when we watch See How They Run, which again we'll kind of reference at the end of this, but a lot of the theater, like again, that's an actual like theater, not a movie theater, but
Mhm.
is a stunning theater. And so many of this, I'm like, oh man, I would love to sit there and watch anything.
I mean, I think
I
in
watched
general. Sorry, go right ahead.
like last year I was in Portland and I watched Oppenheimer in this super cool old theater on a massive
Oh,
screen.
I
It
think
was
I've been there.
it was awesome, dude. Like, super cool.
Oh, were
Like,
you at the Hollywood?
maybe I don't remember, to be perfectly
I
honest, but it
so
was it was really cool.
I took a road trip down just one day to go and find an early screening before it had gotten a wide release of Shape of Water, and I went down
Mm-hmm.
to the Hollywood Theater and saw it there. Super nice place, super cool.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. What were you saying though before that?
I don't remember. Oh, and then if I'm not gonna, have the get rid of trailers thing, I think with tickets how expensive, like an average AMC theater, you're not paying for IMAX, you're not paying for 4DX or whatever it may be. A normal average ticket, if it's nearly like $15, a small popcorn should be included. Now that doesn't mean you get
Uh,
like a medium or a large or a soda for free. You would still have to pay for those things. But, you know, if I get like the equivalent of getting like a small at a drive-through, if I got a small popcorn with my ticket, you'd get people in theaters.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
as it is, like getting a single serving of popcorn at a theater is almost more than the ticket. It's ridiculous.
And I checked, it was the Hollywood that I went to. It was
It's such a
it
cool
was so
theater.
cool, dude.
It's so
So
cool,
cool.
right?
Like it was a
Oh,
packed
that's
house, 70 millimeter of Oppenheimer.
oh nice.
It was really cool.
I think that wanting more like design wise in theaters is akin to wanting more design wise in a McDonald's. I think that you can have your chain restaurants, but you go to your mom and pop and your quote unquote art house theaters for like different and interesting perspectives and like design and things like that. When we went to go watch A Real Pain at the Grand,
Hmm.
I like the way that one is like obviously employee run, and it's got different levels to it and is clearly a converted building. I like that feel to it, but I don't know if I want an AMC to be the same way.
Oh, I don't see. I would be super down for that. I don't know.
I don't know. I like that there's a difference. I think I would prefer there to be, you know, McDonald's and also, you know, Red Wagon.
I think I get it. I think it's one of those. I don't know how I truly feel until they actually tried to do that with a big Regal or AMC.
That's
So
well,
we'll never
I
know
mean,
because they
at the
definitely won't be
very
doing
least,
that.
they definitely do need updating, like just decor wise.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
that's why I
because
always
like,
kind of liked there's the Regal in Auburn, Washington, has this
oh
cool
yeah,
like
yeah,
bit like it at least had a kind of more of a like retro-y theme with like the airplane stuff and the neon lights, and at
sure.
least it had some character to it.
Well, I've noticed that a lot with Regals compared to AMC's, because the theater near me that I go to primarily is a Regal, and well, yes, you can tell it's a Regal by some of the stuff on the inside. It also has its own personality of it's in a slightly older brick building. It's got a lot of neon and things like that. Like it looks
Sure.
cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Since that Icebreaker audio was very specific to movie theater stuff, is there something maybe more about us that maybe we could answer? That way
Well, I
people know
mean,
us more? I don't know.
do we want to cut that all out?
No, I would definitely not cut it out. I mean, hey, this is just extra bonus shit for people. Who knows?
Okay. What is your alcoholic drink of choice?
That's a good one. For me, it depends on the season. Like,
Oh, good God.
no, just in the summer, like I'm definitely,
Okay.
and I'm definitely prefer the summer to the winter, and in the summer, I'm gonna have a lot of margaritas. That's just it's the I don't want to say it's like the perfect summer drink, but it kind of is. In the
I mean, it's not.
it definitely is. Um, in the winter, I'll do like a whiskey sour or a cider. I'm not, and again, I know you like beer. I do not like beer. Um, and I also don't love stiff drinks, so I'm not going to have a Manhattan or an old fashioned. Like, yes, I
Yeah,
work at a
I'm.
bar. Doesn't mean all the things that I make I actually want to drink, because a lot of it I know. I mean, again, it's my opinion, but like a martini where it's just like, oh, you want to drink straight vodka? Cool. Disgusting.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm a beer guy, and I'm not even like a snooty beer guy. I will be fine with Budweiser or Rainier or something like that.
A little Ronier, dude.
I actually don't like IPAs. I think they're gross, and I think and I say you as in if you are someone who is like a true believer of IPAs, I think you are lying to yourself because you are drinking something that tastes like dog piss and just lightly smells of berries or something. Like, get a real beer. And IPAs are gross. Drink of choice
Well,
for me, like if I had to pick like a beer that I really really like, um, I actually have a bottle of this on my bookshelf. Let me go grab it, and I'll be right back. Because it's in German, I don't remember what it's called.
while he grabs that, I will add that I've been trying to like wine. I don't want to be like a
Ooh,
wine
wine's
guy.
gross.
Okay, you say that, Hayden, but like I've definitely come around to it. Again, I don't love it. I wouldn't like choose it, but I can definitely like, oh, I can enjoy a glass or two of wine, like a red wine. But it has to
Yeah,
like
wine's okay.
that's it's yeah,
Even
it's
then, I
fine.
prefer a mead, which is
See,
just honey
I
wine.
don't like weed though. Don't like mead though. Excuse me.
I mean, I don't like weed either, but
I've never been. Never been a really
different
big fan
topic.
either.
Different topic.
Different topic.
Sorry, I'm gonna get that bottle.
But yes, I've been trying to. I've been learning what kind of blends versus cabs versus Pinot Noirs and things like that. Um, Lots of trial and error of okay, how much do I want to spend on a bottle that I may not actually like before I regift it to someone else. So no, I'm not just a margarita and cider boy. There are other drinks, I suppose. Ooh, I also like things that are super fucking citrusy, like really limey, really lemony. Um, there's
Alrighty,
one
I'm
that
back.
I pulled from our parents' like tiki cocktail book called a Tasman Sea, which is almost
I
I fucking love that shit, dude. Like so however much citrus you can give me, like as much lime juice. Fuck yeah, dude.
Well, to be fair, whenever I go to Jamba Juice during the summer, their like lime heavy strawberry thing, super good, super good.
I've never been to a Jamba Juice ever.
I mean, it's a smoothie store.
Well, just I don't know. It's just never happened like that or like Emerald City Smoothie. I've never been in. I've never been in them.
I've never been in an Emerald City smoothie, although I back when I was driving back and forth all the way to Lacey, and it was like during the summer and it was like 100 degrees out. A cold, like super limey strawberry thing was so good in the car.
I bet.
All right. So, hey, you were rambling about citrus stuff when I was grabbing bottles. Let me talk
I
a
was
little
just hey,
bit.
I was burning time.
Okay. So, I apologize to our listeners in Germany for the name I'm about to butcher. Oren Fruitla Rockbia. And this is, and then in the only English in the title just says the classic smoke beer. It is like, it's super rich. It's like, it's definitely a stout, but it tastes, you can get, I don't want to sound snooty, but you can get hints of like caramel and coffee. It's so good. I've only ever found this either at the international like market thing over near me, or I can go to like just your regular Total Wine and More. It's really really good. It's got like a yellow and red label. If you ever want to try this, it's very tasty. But again, as I say, I am not a I'm not going to turn my nose up at something simple. Like I have a 12 pack of Rainier in my fridge that I will probably just drink on and off of from for the rest of the month. I'm
I
I'm
just
I'm not picky.
I think I've realized I just know I'm not a like I think there was maybe a time and a place when I drank more. I think I've just realized I'm not as much of a drink. Like I drink very socially. Like if I'm gonna go do something with people or something like that, sure I'll have a cocktail or a beer or excuse me a cider or something. But like I don't keep liquor in the house. It's just not something that has interest interest in me. I don't know.
I mean,
Uh,
I I
And not
I,
that
I would
I'm not giving
be.
flack to anyone that does the
Oh,
opposite of
sure,
that
sure, sure,
either.
sure. And just as we mentioned earlier, me and Duncan are not into like smoking, but it's not like a giving flack to you if you want to. Obviously, I'm
Well,
not like a huge drinker anymore either. I think the fact that it would take me like over a month to finish 12 normal size cans of beer, like I'm clearly not even drinking one a day. If I'm out at a concert, maybe, but it's
yeah,
just it doesn't appeal to me anymore in the same way it did when I was like newly 21. And yeah,
well,
I don't
sure.
know.
Well, that's probably. I think that was a good a little more personal icebreaker audio. I mean, the theater stuff I think is actually interesting because it's obviously pertinent to like what we talk about on this podcast. But now I have a little more idea of who we are as people. So I think that's
Very
mission
true.
accomplished there. That was also our review slash discussion on Bone Tomahawk. It is on Netflix if you do want to watch it.
I'm going to speak for both of us here when we say we don't recommend it, but it is
I
available for you if you actually want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but I wouldn't.
If you can find the highlight reel of the movie where it's only like 20 minutes long, then absolutely do that.
Or again, I would say if you have time to kill and there's nothing else you want to watch, you could probably put it on and it's fine. Again, I would say it's fine, but I would
I
not
don't
recommend.
say it's fine. I think it's bad.
Okay, all right. Either way, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, next week we're going to be talking about See How They Run, which is a who done it, slightly like our Thanksgiving episode with Knives Out. We'll talk about it. But
We'll get into it
either
then.
way, if you want to watch that in preparation, that is on Hulu, and yeah, you can check that out. Obviously, look backwards over the last 25 episodes. I think I said at the top of this, or
This is
26, or
episode 26, so the
okay,
other
20.
25
Yeah,
episodes,
yeah.
yes.
If you want, there's 25 episodes to look backwards on. Obviously, some are better than others. Hopefully, this is another good episode. If you have recommendations on what we should be watching, obviously find us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Instagram, all that jazz. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets if they listen to you. And this week is also the week of Spotify Wrapped. So I'm going to go through that and probably post some stuff from our Spotify Wrapped onto Instagram. So if you're curious about that, or if you are one of our listeners, you might have already gotten a notification that you are in the top percentage of that since there isn't a ton of you. We'll see you all next week.